So we're here at the 10th anniversary of the HR Directors Conference, and I have with me Professor Shirley Zinn, one of our speakers. Shirley is an author of Swimming Upstream. She's a director of various companies such as Shoprite, Sanlam and various other companies. And she chaired a high-level panel this morning about how does HR cope in tough times? And what are the things that they should pay attention to from an HR director point of view? So Shirley, what were the three to five main findings and discussion points that came up?
Thank you very much, Wilhelm, and it's a delight to be at this conference. It was an interesting discussion. It was a very engaging and interactive discussion. I think people have many challenges that they are facing. A lot of it is, so from a global point of view, if you want to start there are lots of things going on in the world. A lot of global organizations are battling with talent mobility, with the challenges that might come with Brexit, etc. And then if you bring it locally, we are in an interesting space ourselves as Africa. And then I think South Africa itself is in a very interesting, has a very interesting set of dynamics that's evolving. So we spoke about matters pertaining to our political situation, our social impact as HR, our capability to lead with conscience in an environment where corruption and unethical behavior has begun to be the order of the day in many cases. We talked about the public sector and the anxiety of the changes that are coming with the political elections looming in May, and what that means. Will the public sector be downscaled? Will it be restructured? And that there's a lot of anxiety and stress in that particular system as well. And then, of course, in the broader economy, we are seeing a demand for growth coming from business, but our macroeconomic environment is not predicting the kind of growth projections that we would like to see. So we're seeing a lot of paradox. So this paradox of cost effectiveness versus doing exciting things for the employee experience. There's a paradox of bureaucracy versus and high governance versus entrepreneurship and empowerment of people. There is, how do you do all of these things and provide the kind of leadership that is going to instill trust, inspire people, and do it with dignity and compassion. And we are in very, very challenging times in that respect.
Is there hope? And how do we create optimism again within the HR fraternity? And how can HR leaders bring optimism and hope into the organizations?
I think one of the things that we agreed in the session that we are in tough times, and we try to define what does this tough time actually mean in the bigger context. And then what is the role of the HR professional in all of that? And they were talking about, are HR professionals being adequately trained and given the requisite skills in terms of the fourth industrial revolution, managing multi-generational and intergenerational dialogue? How do we create a workplace that is inclusive and deal with all our matters of diversity? How do we move beyond a culture of ticking boxes for compliance, for example, with employment equity, and truly create engaging environments where everybody can thrive? And how do HR professionals start to not only cope but play a leadership role within the organization to say that a lot of these issues can be in the realm of HR, but it is also in the realm of leadership. And that HR needs to play the leading role. We're not talking anymore about do we or don't we sit at the table. We are talking about that we are indeed at the table and we've got to play a leadership role. And this is going to require courage. It's going to require of us to be bold. It's going to require of us to show business acumen and to do things quite differently from what we traditionally used to do. So the whole notion of creativity, innovation, being results and solutions driven, problem solving capability in our new environment, these are the skills and competencies that are the new competencies that HR needs to try and evolve within their own profession so that they're able to play the leadership role that they espouse.
Beautiful. You've been in HR leadership roles now at SARS, at Nedbank, Standard Bank, Woolworths, and you serve on various boards now. What would your advice be to younger women in the HR field that aspires to become the next Shirley Zinn? What's the advice you would like to give them? The few things that they need to do, focus on.
Thank you for that question. I think what is, there's no silver bullet. That's the first thing. Yeah. The second thing is that it requires quite a lot of hard work. Because you can get your qualifications, but a lot of the wisdom you acquire is during the experience. And a lot of the experience is not scripted experience, it's experiences that will be in the emergent, and there are new problems that need to be solved constantly. So you need to stay on top of your game. So it doesn't necessarily mean always doing formal qualifications. It does mean coming to conferences like this, where you have peers in your community that you can learn from. So this is a very, very important part of your learning, to come and be part of your community and collaborate and build relationships here, so that we can have shared learnings, as opposed to just vertical learnings that we accumulate that might not be relevant at any particular time. So I think it's to be active in your peer community. It is to continue to learn, whether it be doing your own research and making sure that you are as competent and as mindful as you possibly can be of the issues. It is being alert to nuances and dynamics in the system, which is part of your EQ and your SQ, if you like. And then the XQ, which I like to talk about, is the wild card factor. There's always a wild card. You never really know from day to day what is going to pop up. So you can have your to-do list, yes, but in between those to-do activities, you will find there are things that you didn't anticipate, you didn't plan for, but you expected to lead. And if you're not on top of your game in terms of what are the latest readings, what are the latest case studies, do I have a go-to person that I can quickly go and ask for support? Do I have a mentor or a coach, or some colleagues that I can quickly just check in with? You're not going to be successful. You're going to battle. So you need to surround yourself with people, firstly, who uplift and inspire you. Then you have to surround yourself with people who are going to be your little advisory board, that your go-to people that you can share some of their learnings, and you can give back as well. And so it's a very different kind of trajectory from the traditional way. You progress through your qualifications, and it's and that is necessary as well. So I'm not saying don't do that, but I think our mode must always be continuous learning, using every opportunity available to you, staying on top of publications, conferences, and peer engagement. This is very important to be persuasive, to influence and to shape strategy. This is where we have to play. So doing more of the same and just trying to fight your fires every day is part of the game. But we need to take this to the next level, to say, if I want to progress, what are the things that I have to commit to do? And I have to drive my own learning. Don't wait for the learning to be offered to you. Self-directed learning is very important.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very, very prepared, how prepared do you think the present day HR fraternity is to cope with the challenges of the new world of work and the volatility and the VUCA world?
If I had to commit myself to a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of HR preparedness for the fourth industrial revolution, the VUCA world that we live in, I would have to be a little bit tough and say that there are many of us who are still in the old school mindset, and we probably need to work, I would say, about, I'll be generous and say about 70% of us have a sense of how to navigate this new world and are staying abreast of the pace and the cadence of what is required and how to respond to it. There's still a bit more that needs to be done. And I think what is even more important is for us to successfully build a sound talent pipeline of younger HR professionals that are more agile in their thinking and their mindsets and their behaviors, that understand the need for guardrails and parameters, but also are able to be entrepreneurial in the spirit in which they approach things, that can be responsive, that can challenge. And we need to make sure that we are growing that talent pipeline in order to ensure that we have succession plans in place. Some of us are aging. We've been in this game for too long, and our old tricks and old habits are not always enabling, because we want to bring the same solutions to different problems, and this doesn't work. So we need to play a role in mentoring and coaching, and perhaps going to business schools and universities and colleges and showcase what we have learned, share our experiences in conferences like this, and make sure that our younger next level of HR professionals are moving through the ranks in a way that is going to be enabling and sustainable for this profession to be effective into the future.
That brings us to the end of the interview. Shirley is a real inspiration to everybody in the HR field. She is a role model in sharing a wisdom and expertise and inspiring younger people, and giving them hope and optimism for where they can really go to. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.